Hello, friends, and welcome back to English Through Stories and Legends, the place where we don't just talk about books. We break them down, simplify them, and transform them into powerful tools for your mind, your future, and your success. Today, we're exploring a book that has the potential to literally rewire your brain to think faster, smarter, and more effectively. This is a summary of the global bestseller Brain Codes, written by Dr. Alan Spencer, a renowned molecular biologist and expert in brain science. This isn't a dry science text full of theories. It's about how your brain actually functions and how you can use that knowledge to learn quicker, remember longer, stay focused, and become unstoppable. Millions have already read it. Now it's your turn. In this video, you'll discover all 12 powerful rules. Each principle is backed by real research, but will explain everything in simple English so even beginners can understand and apply the lessons in daily life. Let me ask you, have you ever studied something only to forget it the very next day? Felt exhausted or mentally foggy despite sleeping all night? Tried to concentrate, but your thoughts drifted away? Wanted to be sharper, faster, and more confident, but didn't know how? Then this book is for you. Because your brain isn't broken, it's just following the wrong set of instructions. This guide teaches you the correct ones, the rules based on science that can completely transform how you learn, work, think, and even rest. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We turn world-class books into powerful, emotional, and life-changing lessons, all explained in simple English. Your brain is the most extraordinary machine in existence. But here's the catch. No one handed you the manual. You go to school, get a job, try to succeed, but no one explains the right way to use your brain. That's why so many people forget quickly, lose concentration, and feel stuck. In this book, Dr. Spencer reveals 12 brain codes, straightforward yet profound truths that show how your brain actually works and how to use it to live better, think more clearly, and achieve more. Each code is like a hidden door. Open it, and your life begins to shift. And today, we're unlocking the first one. If you're studying English, this video doubles as practice. Each rule is explained in clear, simple language so you can boost your English skills while also learning how to master your brain. It's more than a book summary. It's a lesson that could change your life. Brain code number 1. Movement powers the mind. Yes, you heard that right. Exercise isn't only about losing fat or building muscles. It's about charging your brain. Your mind functions at its peak when your body is active. Our ancestors weren't sitting in front of screens all day. They were constantly on the move, walking, hunting, and surviving. The brain adapted to work best when the body is in motion. Dr. Spencer explains that physical activity boosts oxygen flow to the brain, sharpens memory, increases focus, sparks creativity, and even guards against diseases like Alzheimer's. And here's the best part. You don't need a gym or long workouts. Just 20 to 30 minutes of walking daily can make a difference. People who move regularly think faster, remember more, and even have larger brain regions linked to memory and learning. They're also less stressed and anxious. Students who take a walk before class perform better on exams. So if you feel tired, foggy, or unmotivated, the answer isn't another cup of coffee. It's movement. Let me share a story. A man I once met, 42 years old, overweight, depressed, and unable to focus, was struggling at work. His memory was fading, and his doctor warned that his brain was slowing down. One morning at 4 a.m., he simply laced up his shoes and went for a walk. That became his routine. 30 minutes every day. No phone, no excuses. After 3 weeks, his focus sharpened. After 2 months, he earned a promotion. After 6 months, he dropped 10 kilos. But what mattered most was his own words. I feel like I've got my brain back. I feel alive again. Why? Because walking gave his mind the fuel it was missing. So if you want to remember better, think more clearly and grow more confident and focused. Start moving. Not next week, not tomorrow. Today, your brain is waiting. Brain code number 2. Survival shaped the brain. Your mind wasn't designed just for solving math problems or memorizing vocabulary lists. Over millions of years, it developed for one ultimate purpose: survival. Every thought, fear, or decision you make today can be traced back to that ancient mission: to keep you alive. Here's the truth: that survival program is still hardwired into you, and it can either drive you forward or hold you back. Picture our ancient ancestors roaming the wild. Everywhere they turned, danger lurked. Wild animals, violent storms, hunger, unknown paths. To stay alive, their brains had to be on high alert. Sharp problem solvers, emotionally tuned, able to recall past threats, and capable of predicting what might come next. The human brain didn't evolve in a classroom, it evolved in the wilderness. That's why your mind reacts so intensely to emotion, urgency, movement, faces, fear, and anything new or unexpected. But here's the challenge. Today, most of us sit in offices or classrooms for hours. We scroll endlessly on screens, and the brain, built for challenge and survival, becomes bored, stressed, and disconnected from real purpose. Deep down, your brain still craves adventure, real problem solving, meaning, and discovery. So, what do most people do instead? They memorize facts they don't care about, work jobs that feel empty, sit still for hours, and consume more than they create. The result? Mental exhaustion. Because your brain wasn't designed for this. It was built to survive through purpose, exploration, and challenge. Take the story of a young woman named Clara. She worked in a dull, gray London office 9 hours a day, repeating the same lifeless routine. Slowly, her mental health began collapsing. One day, she remembered her childhood dream: to build homes in places no one else dared to go. She left her office job, joined a volunteer project, and within a year she was designing solar-powered houses for families in the remote deserts of Kenya. Clara said, "For the first time in years, I feel alive. My brain is awake again. I'm finally using it the way it was meant to be used." That is the power of aligning with your brain's original purpose: survival through meaning. So, if you ever feel lost, drained, or as if something is missing, it's not laziness. It's your brain asking for something deeper. Ask yourself, what challenge excites me? What fear am I avoiding? What problem could I solve that truly matters? Your brain was shaped for survival, but today it's up to you to evolve beyond just surviving, to truly live. Don't settle for existence. Seek challenges, explore, create, take risks. Building. That's what your brain has been begging you to do. Brain code 3: wiring. Every brain is unique. There's no one in the world with a brain wired exactly like yours. Not on your street, not in your city, not even in the whole universe. The way your mind connects, learns, feels, and remembers is 100% unique to you. So why do we all try to learn the same way? Why do schools test everyone with the same exams? Why are we all pushed to follow identical paths? It's because we've forgotten just how different we really are. Think of your brain like a computer, but not an ordinary one. This machine rewires itself every single day, shaped by your habits, emotions, memories, fears, and environment. That means your way of learning will never be exactly the same as mine, your teachers, your bosses, or even your siblings. Some people absorb knowledge by reading, others by watching, others by doing, building, moving, teaching, or even failing. There was once a boy named Ethan. In school, he failed constantly. He couldn't memorize facts, and his teacher labeled him slow. But Ethan had a hidden gift. He could see machines in his mind. Looking at a broken fan or a dead light bulb, he instantly understood how it worked, without anyone teaching him. Years later, Ethan became a successful engineer, not because of school, but because he followed the way his brain was wired. Today, he designs ultra-quiet wind turbines that power homes in remote villages. He once said, "I wasn't stupid. I just learned differently." And he was right. Your brain physically rewires itself every time you learn something new. No two people store the same memory in the exact same place, not even identical twins. People with dyslexia, ADHD, or autism don't have broken brains. They simply have different wiring. So stop comparing your brain to someone else's. Stop believing you're not smart just because you don't learn like everyone else. Instead, experiment until you discover what fits you best. Try out different learning styles. Lean into your strengths. And don't be afraid to break away from the system. Your brain isn't damaged, it's uniquely designed. The moment you start working with it instead of against it, everything in your life can shift. Brain code 4: attention. We don't focus on boring things. Let's face it, the modern world is noisy. Every second, something is fighting for your attention. Ads, notifications, endless social feeds, constant alerts. But here's the truth most people overlook. Your brain was never built for multitasking. It was built for survival. That means it only locks onto what it sees as important. When something feels dull, your brain automatically shuts down. That's not your weakness, and that's biology. Think of your mind like a gatekeeper. It asks, is this dangerous? Is this new? Is this emotional? Is this useful? If the answer is yes, the gate opens. If not, your attention drifts elsewhere. That's why we forget long lectures. That's why most meetings feel pointless. That's why our eyes glaze over when reading dry books. Picture walking into a room. The walls are the same neutral color. Nothing changes, and you don't even notice them. But then a flash of lightning bursts outside. Instantly, your body freezes, your eyes widen, and your brain screams, "Pay attention!" That's how focus works. Your brain locks onto movement, emotion, surprise, urgency, and change. But when everything stays the same, it checks out. Here's another fact. The brain can only sustain attention for about 10 minutes before needing a reset. Emotions light up more brain activity than facts alone. Visuals, stories, and humor grab focus better than plain text. People remember beginnings and endings, but the middle often disappears. So if you want to study more effectively, speak more powerfully, or teach more memorably, you need to create attention. If you want people to listen, or if you want your own brain to stay sharp, you must make it care. Use stories, use visuals, ask questions, add surprise, change your tone, take breaks, connect information to emotion and meaning. Don't just list facts, make your brain feel. Because here's the rule: attention is currency. Spend it carefully, protect it fiercely, and never waste it on things that don't matter. If something is boring, give it meaning. Your brain doesn't crave more data, it craves a reason to care. Brain code 5, short term memory. Repeat to remember. Imagine your brain as a tiny whiteboard. Every time you hear or learn something new, it gets scribbled onto that board. But here's the catch: the board is small and the writing fades fast. If you don't review what's written, it vanishes. Erased, forgotten. That's short term memory. Quick, useful, but fleeting. It can hold about 7 items for no more than 30 seconds. Think of when someone tells you a phone number. You hold it for a moment, glance away, and it's gone. Sound familiar? That's your short term memory doing its job. To transfer information into long term memory, short term memory needs help, and that help is called repetition. Picture a small bucket full of holes. You pour in water, but it leaks out almost instantly. Now imagine pouring water again and again. Each time, the bucket holds a little more before it drains away. Eventually, the container becomes strong enough to hold water for good. That's how memory works. Without repetition, it leaks. With repetition, it sticks. Here's the reality: most people forget 50% of new material within an hour, 70% within a day, and 90% within a week, unless they review it. That's why repetition isn't boring, it's essential. But there's a smarter way: spaced repetition. Review after 1 hour, then 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then a month. That pattern helps lock knowledge into your long term memory. Here are tips to boost short term memory. Chunking. Break information into smaller groups. Instead of 937426, try 937-426. Association. Link new info to something you already know. Visualization. Turn words into mental pictures. Teaching. The best way to solidify knowledge is to explain it to someone else. Don't blame your brain for forgetting. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. But if you want to remember, you must train it. Think of knowledge as a seed. If you water it only once, it dies. But return to it again and again, and it grows roots, eventually becoming part of who you are. That's how you move from simply knowing something to becoming it. Brain code 6, long-term memory. Remember by repeating. Short-term memory is quick and temporary, but long-term memory is where real learning takes root. That's the part of the brain that defines your identity, your skills, your knowledge. It's not about remembering for days, it's about holding on to lessons for years. And here's the secret: long-term memory requires repeated visits. You can't just study for 5 hours one day and expect mastery. What matters is returning to the material again and again over time. Think of long-term memory like a path in the forest. The first time you walk down a trail in the forest, it's rough and slow. Tall grass blocks the way, bushes scratch at your arms, and progress is difficult. But return the next day and the next and the next, and something incredible happens. The trail becomes clearer, easier, faster. Eventually, it transforms into a road. That's exactly how neurons in your brain work. Every time you recall a memory, you strengthen the pathway. Imagine writing a word in wet cement. At first, the letters are visible but fragile. Touch it too soon and it smears. Leave it too long without rewriting, and rain washes it away. But if you trace the word again and again, layer by layer, it dries into something permanent. That's what repetition does. It engraves learning into your brain. New memories are fragile. They need consistent review to last. Sleep, stress, and attention all affect how memory is stored. Memory isn't like saving a file, it's like training a muscle. The act of recalling a memory strengthens it far more than simply rereading notes. That means if you study using spaced repetition, you'll remember far more. If you test yourself instead of just reading, you'll retain more. And if you apply knowledge in real life, it becomes part of your identity. Tips for strengthening long-term memory. Review after 24 hours, 3 days, 1 week, and 1 month. Teach what you learn, even if it's just to an empty room. Use flashcards and quizzes. Link new information to things you already know. Tell stories or create visuals. Your brain loves pictures. So many people feel like failures when they forget something. They say, "My memory is terrible. I'm just not smart." But that's false. You're not broken. You just haven't trained your memory properly yet. Now you know. It's not about forcing. It's about repeating, remembering, and rewiring. If you let time work with you, your brain will follow. Brain code 7. Sleep, rest. Well, think better. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle. No sleep, just grind. Sleep is for the weak. But the truth is, sleep isn't wasted time. It's one of your brain's most powerful tools. When you sleep, your body may rest, but your brain switches into high gear. It organizes memories, solves problems, clears toxins, and prepares you for tomorrow. Missing sleep doesn't make you tougher. It makes you slower, less creative, and less intelligent. Just one night of poor sleep can cut brain performance by nearly 40%. That's the same as being legally drunk. You wouldn't go to school drunk. You wouldn't study drunk. Yet that's exactly how your brain feels when it's deprived of sleep. Think of your brain as a factory. During the day, the machines are running at full speed. Workers rushing everywhere, problems being solved. But at night, the lights dim, the machines slow down, and the cleaning crew arrives. They remove the trash, sort the files, organize the chaos, and repair the system. If the factory skips this night shift, waste piles up until the system breaks down. That's what happens to your brain without proper sleep. During deep sleep, your brain strengthens long-term memory. REM sleep sparks problem solving and creativity. Well-rested people learn faster, make better decisions, and manage emotions more effectively. Students who sleep enough perform better on exams. Athletes who prioritize rest win more often. Even short naps of 20 to 30 minutes can give your brain a powerful boost. How to improve sleep? Keep a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends. Avoid caffeine 6 hours before bed. Switch off screens an hour before sleep. Make your room dark and cool. Relax with meditation or calm music. Avoid heavy meals late at night. Sleep isn't just recovery night. It's part of growth, success, and intelligence. Stop saying, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Because without rest, you're not really living. You're slower, foggier, and less effective. If you want to be sharp, motivated, and successful, protect your sleep like you protect your dreams. Schedule it, respect it, and let it power your ambitions. Brain code 8. Stress. Stressed minds can't learn. You may think stress only makes you feel tired or overwhelmed, but here's the reality. Stress rewires your brain. It blocks memory, slows down thinking, and worst of all, convinces you that you're incapable, even when you're not. Stress doesn't just harm your body, it shuts down the very parts of your brain you need most. Focus, memory, and confidence. Inside your brain is the amygdala, the fear center. When you feel stress, pressure, anxiety, or danger, the amygdala goes into overdrive. It's like an alarm bell blaring inside your head. When that alarm is ringing, blood flow shifts towards survival functions. And when that happens, learning stops. When stress takes over, memory fades, logic slips away, and emotions cloud everything. You feel distracted, foggy, unable to think clearly. This isn't weakness, simply your brain trying to protect you. The problem is, your brain can't always tell the difference between a real threat, like a wild animal, and something small, like an upsetting email. Picture a magnificent library filled with shelves of books. Every memory, every idea, every lesson you've ever learned. Now imagine a flood rushing in. Water everywhere. The lights go out. Shelves collapse. Books float. Pages tear. In that chaos, could you study? Could you focus? That's your brain on stress. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. If stress drowns your mind, learning stops. Chronic stress actually shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory. Students often fail exams not because they didn't study, but because stress shut their brains down. Stress triggers cortisol, a chemical that, over time, damages memory, creativity, and emotional stability. Children raised in high-stress homes often struggle to learn, even when they later find themselves in safe classrooms. Common forms of stress that damage learning include toxic relationships, fear of failure and constant pressure, past trauma that hasn't been resolved, negative self-talk and comparison, unsafe or chaotic environments. If you want to grow, achieve, or truly learn, you must guard your brain from stress the way a knight protects a castle. Here are some ways. Practice deep breathing or meditation, even just 5 minutes. Spend time in nature. Walk, move, breathe fresh air. Journal your emotions or talk to someone you trust. Don't carry pain alone. Cut out toxic inputs, harmful news, negative people, endless doom scrolling. Replace negative self-talk with self-compassion. Laugh. Yes, laughter literally heals the brain. If you feel unfocused, forgetful, or stuck in mental fog, don't blame yourself. You're not broken, you're stressed. You don't need to grind harder. You need to breathe, recover, and protect your mind. Remember, no flower blooms in the middle of a storm, and no brain can thrive under attack. Calm the storm, and your brilliance will return. Brain code. 9. Sensory integration. Unlock the power of your senses. Most people try to learn using only one sense, usually by reading words on a page. But your brain wasn't built to learn that way. It thrives when multiple senses are activated at the same time. This process is called sensory integration, and it's one of your brain's greatest strengths. Your brain has 5 doors: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. The more doors you open, the more engaged and alert your brain becomes. That creates stronger connections, sharper focus, and deeper memory. This is why certain memories last forever. The smell of your grandmother's kitchen, the sound of a childhood song, the feeling of a book you loved, the taste of birthday cake, or the instant recognition of a face you haven't seen in years. Compare 2 experiences: reading about the pyramids in a dry textbook, just black ink on paper; visiting a museum, seeing the stones, hearing desert winds, touching sand, watching a 3D reconstruction, smelling ancient oils once used by pharaohs. Which one sticks in your memory? Exactly, the one that activates multiple senses. Studies show students who learn with visuals plus audio retain 65% more information after 3 days. Touch based kinesthetic learning helps those who struggle with text. Children in sensory rich classrooms perform better than those in plain, minimal ones. Practical ways to use sensory integration: add visuals, diagrams, drawings, mind maps. Use sound, audiobooks, music, or reading aloud. Engage touch, flashcards, models, or simply trace in words with your fingers. Link smell or taste. Study with a specific scent or connect flavors with topics. Move. Walk while reviewing notes or use gestures as memory aids. Even something as simple as reading your notes aloud activates more brain regions than reading silently. Don't treat your brain like a one-lane road. It's a vast superhighway. The more senses you involve, the more alive your brain becomes, and the more unforgettable your learning will be. Brain code 10. Vision. The brain's dominant sense. Your brain uses all five senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. But one of them towers above the rest: vision. Your brain is a visual engine. It processes images faster than words, remembers pictures longer than sounds, and learns more effectively through visuals than through text alone. In fact, more than half of your brain's energy is devoted to vision alone. That's how powerful your eyes are in shaping thought, memory, and understanding. Let's try something simple. Read this list quickly: apple, category, mountain, clock, sunset. Now, try to forget them. Hard, isn't it? Why? Because you didn't just read words. Instantly, your brain turned them into pictures. You saw the red apple, the glowing sunset, the mountain peak. You didn't even have to try. Your brain painted the images automatically. That's how visual your mind is. Think about watching a silent movie. No words, no sound. Yet within seconds, you know who the hero is, who the villain is, what emotions are being expressed, and what danger is approaching. How? Because your brain reads the story visually. It decodes facial expressions, body language, shadows, colors, angles, and movement. And it makes you feel. That's how deep vision runs. It connects thought, memory, and emotion in one sweep. Research proves it. People remember only about 10% of what they hear, but they recall 65% of what they see even after 3 days. Add visuals to an explanation, and learning can improve by up to 400%. Vision is processed in the brain 60,000 times faster than text. That's why children learn faster when lessons include pictures, diagrams, and colors instead of plain words. So, whether you're a student, teacher, speaker, or simply someone trying to learn, you must harness visual power. Here's how. Use mind maps instead of long bullet points. Replace walls of text with diagrams, sketches, or infographics. Color code your notes. Watch animations or short videos alongside reading. Create flashcards with images, not just words. Visualize concepts in your mind like little movies. Words are useful, sounds help. But if you want ideas to stick, make them visual. Your brain remembers what it sees more than what it hears. If you want to master something quickly, turn it into an image, a color, a scene, a story your brain can see. Because once your brain sees it, it stores it. And once it stores it, it transforms you. Brain code 11. Gender. Distant brains, different strengths. We often hear the phrase, all brains are the same. But neuroscience tells us something's different. Male and female brains are not identical. Neither is better nor worse, they are simply wired differently. And those differences shape how we process information, handle emotions, respond to stress, and even learn. Understanding these differences doesn't divide us. It helps us communicate better, learn together, and respect how unique each mind is. Here are a few key differences science has observed. Stress response. Men under stress often activate the fight or flight system, ready to confront or escape danger. Women are more likely to trigger a tend and befriend response, seeking connection, building support, and protecting relationships. Emotion processing. Women's brains are tuned for emotional detail, noticing subtleties in tone, expression, and feeling. Men's brains lean toward focusing on the bigger picture and practical problem solving. Memory. Women tend to remember people, conversations, and emotional details more vividly. Men often remember spatial details, directions, movement, physical layouts with greater strength. Learning style. Girls often respond best to storytelling, face-to-face interaction, and emotionally engaging lessons. Boys, on the other hand, tend to prefer active learning, movement, competition, and logic-based challenges. Of course, these are patterns, not rules. Every individual is unique, but recognizing these tendencies helps us design better classrooms, stronger teams, and healthier relationships. Think of it like this. Imagine two radios. Both can play music beautifully. Both work. But each one is tuned slightly differently, designed to pick up certain frequencies more clearly. Male and female brains are like that. Different receivers, but both essential, both powerful. Think of it like this. Both radios have batteries. One is tuned to capture bass tones more clearly, the other picks up treble with more precision. Neither is broken. They're simply tuned differently. That's how male and female brains work. Different frequencies, equal brilliance. Male brains often have more connections within each hemisphere, giving an edge in spatial reasoning and pattern-based tasks. Female brains, on the other hand, show more connections between hemispheres, which strengthens multitasking and emotional insight. Girls' brains typically develop language and emotion centers earlier, while boys' brains often develop motor and spatial centers sooner. Under stress, boys are more likely to act outwardly, while girls may pull inward. These are brain-based tendencies, not rigid laws. But when we understand them, we unlock patience, empathy, and more effective support. When we don't, misunderstandings arise, leading to frustration, conflict, and missed learning opportunities. The truth is simple. There is no such thing as a better brain. There's only your brain. And your brain is exactly how it's meant to be. Different does not mean wrong. Different means unique. And unique means you carry a strength, a perspective, a gift that no one else in the world possesses. If you're a teacher, respect both learning styles. If you're a student, honor the way your brain learns best. If you're a partner, learn how their brain operates, not how you wish it did. Because when we stop forcing everyone into sameness, we create a world where individuality is celebrated and where every person feels truly seen. Brain Code 12. Exploration. The instinct to grow. At your core, you are a natural explorer. That drive to discover is older than technology, stronger than fear, and wiser than doubt. It is curiosity and the spark to reach beyond what you know. From the very first moments of your life, before you could walk or talk, your brain was already searching, reaching, grabbing, looking, listening, testing. Exploration isn't a skill you learned. It's your birthright. You weren't built to stay in one place. Not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. Your brain is designed to grow, expand, question, and stretch toward the unknown. This is the final rule. And perhaps it's the most beautiful, because the brain isn't a passive receiver, waiting for life to hand it information. It is an active seeker. It builds maps, forms questions, tests answers, makes mistakes, and corrects them. Exploration lights up your brain in ways nothing else can. That's why children learn so quickly. They don't fear curiosity. They don't avoid questions. They're not ashamed to stumble, fall, and try again. They keep reaching. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. It doesn't know the sky exists. It has no map, no proof. But within itself, it carries a drive to grow. So it pushes upward through the dirt, searching for light. Not because someone told it to, but because it was created to grow. And eventually, that seed becomes a tree. Your brain is the same. It wasn't made to stay buried. It was made to stretch, reach, and discover. Even in the womb, babies show curiosity, reacting to sounds and light. The brain constantly forms hypotheses, little guesses about how the world works. When you explore new places, ideas, or experiences, your brain forms new neural pathways. Exploration releases dopamine, the chemical of excitement, motivation, and reward. That's why people who continue to explore and learn, even late in life, tend to stay sharper, happier, and more fulfilled. Your brain doesn't care about your age, your background, your money, or your education. It only has one request. What's next? Exploration isn't only about traveling to new places. It can be found in opening a fresh book, asking the questions most people avoid, practicing a skill you've never tried before, speaking a different language, tackling a problem you don't yet understand, or stepping into an environment that feels uncomfortable. It's in meeting people who think unlike you, in learning from mistakes instead of running from them. In every single one of these actions, your brain expands. This is the final rule, and maybe the most human one of all. Because when you feel bored, lost, or stuck, it's not because you're lazy, it's because you've stopped exploring. And the very moment you begin again, even with one small step, your brain comes alive. You don't need to have every answer. You don't need someone's permission. You don't need to see the full path ahead. All you need is the courage to move, to question, to try, and to open your mind again. Deep inside, that same child still lives. The one who once asked endless questions, who once believed the world was magical, who once believed anything was possible. That child never left you, that explorer never died, and that brain, your brain, is still waiting to grow. So let it. And here we are, the end. 12 rules, 12 ways to transform your life, 12 ways to unlock the most powerful tool you will ever own, your brain. Remember this, your brain is not broken. It is not weak. It is not lazy. It is not too old, too slow, or too damaged. It has simply been waiting for the right guidance, waiting for you to believe in it again. Because you weren't born just to drift through life. You were born to learn, to heal, to create, to lead, to change, to love, to explore, and to grow. And each of those begins with your brain. This brain of yours can rewire itself. It can heal from pain. It can absorb knowledge. It can master languages. It can build new habits. It can break harmful patterns. It can think new thoughts. It can reshape your future, but only if you decide to use it with intention. Most people won't. They'll stay distracted, afraid, or convinced they're not smart enough. And in doing so, the world will lose the brilliance they might have shared. But you are different. You stayed until the end. You listened. You absorbed. You learned. That alone means you've already taken the first step. Now it's time for the next one. Let this become your new belief. I have a powerful brain. I will protect it. I will fuel it. I will train it. I will use it to transform my life and maybe even the world. Let this guide serve as your map. Let these 12 rules be your compass, and let your mind carry you to the height of your true potential. Because the world doesn't need more people who simply memorize. It needs people who think deeply, act courageously, and dream without limits. That begins with you, and it begins now. Thank you. If this message inspired you, share it, comment, or pass it on to someone who needs it, because you never know whose future it could change. And if you're new here, join us for more simple, powerful, and life-changing lessons. We don't just teach, we transform.